As a business owner, I think you'd probably have to live in a cave right now not to hear about AI. And truthfully, you'd probably hear about it even if you lived in a cave. It's literally transforming life as we know it. Truthfully, that's a little scary for a lot of us. But fear aside, on the flip side, as a small business owner and as a marketing strategist, I can see what a huge time saver AI has been for me. It's helped me write content, generate ideas for creative copy, brainstorm questions for podcast interviews, and even SEO ideas. When this podcast was recorded in September of 2024, the quality of AI was really not ready for prime time yet, but it's getting better and better. So much so, I'm really amazed at how much it's progressed in the last few months. And as we talk about in our conversation today, AI will never likely replace the human element, which is so important in connecting with our customers, our clients, our readers. Because AI is such a hot topic in marketing right now, I've got just the guest to help us unpack all of it. I'm thrilled today to be chatting with Rachel Hernandez, the Director of Marketing at Nextnet. Rachel leads marketing for the world's largest global network of trusted media outlets, link partners, and global news websites. She was a finalist for the Women in Content Marketing of the Year award by Masthead Media and the Content Marketing Institute. Basically, if there's anyone who knows how to make AI work for content marketing, it's Rachel. So if you use AI right now, or you're just thinking about using it, this is the place for you. Let's jump into our conversation with Rachel. Well, hey, Rachel, welcome to My Weekly Marketing.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to this all morning.
So before we dive into AI, and because I love this topic so much, I think it's scary, but it's also, it just holds so much potential for sure. But tell us a little bit about your own story. Like, how did you get to this point in your career, or tell us a little more about your background.
Yeah, so I got into marketing by way of just really loving writing and loving stories and storytelling. So I went to college. This was back in 2003, and I actually went to the New School and I studied fiction and creative nonfiction writing. So I really thought like I was going to write some short stories or maybe be a journalist. And then I was kind of like, maybe you're not going to be like the next great famous American author, and we'll have to find another way to get into that entry point into at least like doing some creative work. And it definitely took like a minute because again, we're talking like over 20 years ago at this point, and digital marketing and digital media as we see it now like wasn't really a thing like that back then. So I waited tables for a really long time. I kind of flirted with being an English teacher and decided that wasn't the path either. And then I got my way in at an email marketing agency located in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I was able to join that team as a copywriter. And this was about 12 years ago. So that was sort of my entry point. And I was writing direct response emails for entrepreneurs, a lot of real estate agents, a lot of people who were just sort of starting their own businesses and were just like trying to grow their lists and get sales via email. And I joined Nextnet in 2016. So I just had my 8th anniversary there, which feels crazy. But thank you. And that's a company that's really focused on a lot of it is SEO, but like brand exposure through organic platforms in general. So we'll do lots of Google search, organic social media, search on other platforms like Amazon, etc. And that's been really fun because content and content writing is such a big part of getting that exposure on all those kind of different playing fields. So it's been really fun to translate those skills into a marketing director position at this company.
Yeah, that's great. But I want to say, just because I'm a little older than you are, I'm not going to tell anybody how much older I am. If you've got a dream to be an author, girl, you go for it. I mean, you are early in your life. You can still write that novel or that piece of fiction or whatever it is you want to. Life takes careers take lots of twists and turns. So, and also, being a copywriter is something that a lot of people really covet. When I first graduated from college, we're talking back in the 80s, it was hard to get a job in marketing. So, I mean, it was a really coveted position. So, kudos to you because you would not be where you are if you did not have some amazing content skills. So, anyway, that's my pep talk for the morning.
I
So,
appreciate it.
so talk to us how you use AI content or how you use AI content in your marketing strategy and how you use it on a day-to-day basis. For example, like how does it fit into your workflow? Where does it come in? Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that.
So, and I will start just by saying that it's super rare that I will use especially if it's something that's longer than a headline or similar, that I will use a piece of content that has been drafted by AI without some significant
Hmm.
changes to make sure that it fits the voice, it fits the medium, and also just that it doesn't sound like AI because I think,
Yes.
especially those of us in this space, like we can pick it out right away at this point.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why I love AI and one of the ways that it fits into my day to day is marketing really, I think a lot of the time is like a series of tests that we make
Yes.
at the end of the day. Like that's just sort of the structure that coming to a really solid marketing campaign takes. And AI just makes it so much easier to come up with just different variations, different ways of saying things, seeing if like we can make this headline like a half as long, or maybe we want to try making it twice as long. And instead of sitting there sort of like brainstorming, for an hour, like a billion different ways to say the same thing, you can put a request like that into ChatGPT with, some very like easy parameters to where you're like, don't say this word or make it this long or make it this short. For me, I'm like, take out the emojis because it loves emojis.
Yes.
At least. And it just has such an easy just way that you can kind of jump off and move forward. So for testing purposes, that's probably like the biggest role that AI plays in my day to day as a content marketer, and where I definitely save the most time.
Hmm.
I do not recommend using it for writing something long form like a blog post or a white paper, or even like an email that you're really using to drive some sort of conversion. It
Hmm.
still has that element of inauthenticity to it, I think, when
Hmm.
you're really trying to like connect with somebody on that authentic level. But again, like for like just variations and testing and can you say this thing a different way? Because my brain's not as fast as you. Man, it's so useful.
It is. And I love that you said a couple of things here. First of all, I love that, especially for someone who works alone or is working remotely. I think, when I worked at agencies and in bigger marketing departments, we would have creative meetings and we'd all get in the room and we'd throw pencils at the ceiling and do whatever it took, right, to come up with ideas. And it's like having like a creative team with you in a way because you can put in there, um, but like I need a headline for blah blah blah, or I need an introduction, or I just need an outline or something, just to kind of get you going mentally to try and move you along that creative process for sure. The other thing I want to say, because I think a lot of people don't know this, and I don't have ChatGPT open right now, but in the settings area, there is a place, like I know it's in like upper right hand corner, where you can go ahead and outline your uh, your voice, your
Yeah.
brand voice. So you can say, I speak in a very casual format. I like lots of emojis, or I don't use emojis, and you can also talk to it about it, she, he, whatever, the AI, about who your ideal customer is so that they will connect on that level. And it is amazing to me that it will pull information that I won't have to. So I won't have to say every time I'm asking it to
Yes.
draft something, here's my target customer. This is what their problem is, blah, blah, blah. They'll have that all figured out. And it builds on what it already knows, right? So if you've been using it for 6 months, it's going to take into account everything that you have told it before. So it knows exactly what to say. So I really encourage anybody who's listening to make sure that they fill out that information on the back end to talk about who their customer is, what their brand voice is like. And so that you're going to get a whole more refined results by doing that. So anyway,
Yes. No, I
uh,
love that. Yeah.
yes, yeah. But I definitely agree. If you're looking to go and say, write me a blog post, it's not going to come across well. It can give you some ideas. It can give you some starting points. It can maybe even give you some things that you wouldn't have thought about to put in that blog post. But I love what you said about stories because, you bring unique stories and that's what personalizes it, right?
Yes, exactly. Because by nature, too, and again, that's kind of why I don't use like AI content that's straight up AI for anything that's long form or anything where I'm like really trying to target somebody because in like its nature generative AI is derivative, like that's how it works, even though it gets more and more advanced the more we use it. But the reason that is because it's pulling from what's already there.
Yeah.
And so when you're really trying to grow your business and reach your audience and reach your target consumer, um, a lot of the time people don't necessarily like they don't buy like just a product. They buy because they feel connected in some sort of way to
Mm-hmm.
the brand, to the owner, to the story of that company. And that's just not something that I think AI can really create and make it authentic because it's never going to be special. It's always going to come from something that's pre-existing.
That is so true. That is really true. So where do you see, because I've noticed that AI is getting better and better and better from where it was even like 6 months ago. I had to draft an email to a colleague the other day and it was like 6 o'clock at night and the words were not coming out. So I just used AI. I plugged it in. I said, this is what I want to say. Can you make this sound legible? And it did a really good job with it. And so I think, like you said, it definitely has its place, as long as you don't give it full control of all your marketing. And because it does definitely lack that connection. But where do you see it going? Do you feel like down the road it's going to be more and more human like?
I do. And I think that is very exciting. And also a little scary, I would say.
Yeah.
Some concerns, and I am not one that thinks that like AI is going to steal every creative person's job because, again, at the end of the day, you kind of always need to have that human element to it that is coming from an actual person. There's always
Mhm.
going to have to be some sort of stopgap, some sort of thing that like really has that soul connection to
Yeah.
whatever the message is. I do think it's going to get more human. I mean, I remember playing with ChatGPT when it first launched, and it like couldn't even really have like a sense of humor, like so already we see, like how far it's come. Um, but I do think as it gets more and more advanced, and I'm not even going to get into like the scary kind of deep fake things that people have been
Mm-hmm.
doing with it. I do think that we're going to see more regulations. I think copyright is going to be a really big issue that people are sort of starting to talk about now. But if you are creating things with AI, if you're drawing inspiration from voices that already exist that aren't your own, again, like this content that it comes up with, it's all derivative. It's not, nothing is new. It can't be new. It can't come up with
Mm-hmm.
anything new. Um, do you own it? Is it yours? And who does it belong
Mm-hmm.
to? And
Yeah.
so I think it's going to get really, really advanced and really evolved, but that's also going to open up a whole slew of okay, wait though, like what does this mean in regards to things like that? Trademarks are, there's just so much
Yes.
that's going to come. So I would even consider like keep playing with it because there's going to be a point where this is part of our day to day, like the way that, knowing how to use a basic Excel formula is part of so many people's basic day to day at work. Like it's just going to be part of it. but also keeping in mind that there's definitely going to be some things that we're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a whole new frontier, right? So, my husband is a business professor, and he always says that technology precedes uh, usage in legal sort of
Hmm.
ramifications, and we're seeing that definitely here. When I was walking my dog this morning, I was listening to a podcast about NFTs and Bitcoin and Web3 and all this stuff. I'm trying to learn about this because it it's like it's hard to wrap your mind around, right? And it's kind of the same thing where it is so hard to understand what's happening because it's happening at such a rapid pace that it is mind blowing, and we'll have to wait and see where it all goes.
Well, yeah, it's like because we remember the early days of the internet, when you would never ever put like your bank information or your real name or
Yeah,
anything like that. And now, I can't remember the last time I cashed a check, like, or, even
yeah,
went to an ATM or, it's just that we had to adapt and all these institutions had to adapt. And we're going to see that play out in real time on a marketing and content creation level, but like on so many other levels as well.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So before I'm I always do this. I always get off on tangents, but I also want to talk a little bit about how else we can use AI in your day to day work. And you mentioned like creative ideas, and certainly we can use it for an outline for a blog post. What about SEO? Before we
Yeah.
started recording, you touched on SEO a little bit. I always thought that they didn't really have access so much to search engine results, but has that changed? And how can people use it for SEO?
Yeah. So there's this is not necessarily like ChatGPT, though ChatGPT does draw from Bing. So if like you want to optimize your website or your content to show up in a ChatGPT answer, then you probably want to focus on Bing optimization. I will fully admit that I've been focused on Google for the past 8 years because
Hmm.
Google owns 91% of the search share. That being said, Google has, if you've done a search recently that was sort of like top of funnel, like not necessarily using keywords that were based around like buying or conversions, but like just asking a question. You probably have seen AI overviews come up at the top of the
Yeah.
results page.
Hmm.
So that is something that I think is really going to transform the industry I'm in. It's well, transform is kind of dramatic because the search results page on Google has been evolving for so long. Like we haven't had a list of like 10 blue websites on links on one page in a really long time. Like now we have people also ask featured snippets, a map if you're doing like a brick and mortar search. So this is also kind of just part of the general evolution.
Hmm.
But I do think showing up in AI overviews, which are again like at the top of the search results page, usually a question like, what's like an example? Yesterday, I looked at one that was like how to clean stainless steel, and it pulled up like 7 different results from 7 different websites, has all of the websites listed, has like an actual link to the website for each element of the AI overview, and basically gives an answer so that somebody doesn't have to click on a link to figure out how to
Mm.
clean stainless steel.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is great for brand visibility. I think it's actually a really cool, useful way to engage with top of funnel content. And it's also helpful for people who, if you are putting budget towards SEO, and you want to like show up in a traditional list with a link building campaign or content campaign, I would start to really think about maybe making sure that you're focusing on your bottom funnel pages that convert for that kind of optimization because people are not necessarily going to click on your page anymore for a top of funnel search, which sounds bad at first, but then you're like, oh no, I'm going I actually know where to focus. And the traffic that's coming to my website is already going to be warmer. It's going to be a better lead.
Mm. That's a really good advice. So just to clarify everything, because I like to spell everything out. So it's,
Mm.
like you're talking to me like I'm five. So top of funnel, would we use different search terms
Mhm.
for top of funnel, like how to clean or how to do something. Actually, the how to phrase is often used top of funnel, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like lower in the funnel or bottom funnel would be where do I buy or what price is or so it's different terms that we're using when we do a search, top of funnel, mid funnel, or bottom of funnel.
Yes. Yes,
Gotcha.
exactly. So like if it was tennis shoes, top of funnel, types of tennis shoes for hiking.
Mhm.
Mid funnel, best tennis shoes brands. You're not quite ready to buy it. You don't know who you're going to buy from, but you know you want tennis shoes. And then
Right.
bottom funnel, buy red tennis shoes.
Yeah, right. Or it could be like buy um, Brooks Ghosts running
Yeah.
shoes or whatever. So it's real specific. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, do you feel like, other than time, have you seen some real good benefits to integrating AI into your day to day marketing?
Um, yeah, I mean, time obviously like is the first one that comes to mind, but I think you touched on this earlier is that sometimes, you do get an idea from the output that you would not necessarily have had on your own. And that's always really exciting or special. I mean, whether it is that's coming from a open AI tool or coming from a team member that says something that you go, oh, like I didn't
Hmm.
think of it that way. That's pretty exciting. And I just think it's also and maybe this is outside of marketing, but in general, I like it when we are introduced to tools that make things easier and that also that we have access to because also AI has been around for a really long time. Like this is not, like new technology. It's new in that it's become widespread
Hmm.
to people out there. It's been democratized to a certain extent with the advent of AI tools for things like content marketing and people maybe relying on them a little bit too much for their output, it's always been kind of a balance between quality and quantity in the space. And now it really is going to be all about quality because when everybody can create a lot of stuff really quickly, the cream is truly going to rise to the top because it is going to be the thing that stands out, that is different, that is authentic, that actually says something new. So
So
that's
true.
actually pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yes, that is so true. So the better you are as a storyteller, the better you are as a writer, that's going to come into play here big time. And the more personalized you make it, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that AI can do to some degree, but it can't get as personalized to you when you're communicating or to that customer that you're talking to, because you're going to know them so much better, at least at this point. Do you have, other than ChatGPT, do you use some other AI tools or platforms?
Yeah, I do. There's two main ones I use mostly for content and SEO. And I'll give a few examples for the SEO ones because there's like a few that kind of do the same thing, and I've used them both, and I like them both for different reasons. Copymatic AI, that is a AI, like a generative AI software, but it's very focused on content marketing. So for somebody who's new to marketing and doesn't necessarily have the resources to like build out a big team or like kind of just dive into prompt engineering really hardcore with ChatGPT, it's great because you can kind of like it has just different platforms and ways that like you can say it has like something for an about page, something for an FAQ, something for an Instagram post, something for this, something for that. So if you're not like me or you and you've been doing this for years and you're just getting started, it's very useful to have that formatting like already kind of pieced in there.
Yeah.
It's copymatic.ai. For SEO, I've used two tools. These are both softwares, clearscope.io and Surfer SEO. And what these are really useful for, and they're essentially the same thing. So I think ClearScope's a little bit more expensive than Surfer SEO. But what they do, so if you want to rank for a specific keyword, you can plug it into this software and it pulls the top 35 results on the Google results page that rank for
Mm.
that keyword. And it gives you all of the commonalities. So what type of content is it? Is it a product page? Is it a blog post or a how-to? It tells you like the different headers that are in common, how long the piece of content should be. Should it be 100 words? Should it be 3,000 words? I used to do this manually, like on Excel, a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. So tools like this like make my life so much easier. It provides you like a whole brief. And then if you write, most of them like connect to Google Docs, but like you can write out the content and connect it to the software. It'll kind of help you structure so it's optimized really well for search as you're writing.
Oh,
So
that's
that's,
cool. So that's
yeah, for
like,
me,
that's,
that's really cool.
yeah. Well, it's competitive intelligence too. Yeah. Like, you know, what's already working. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I'll have to check
And
that
that's
one out.
something that we've integrated for our clients as well, just because again, that's a no-brainer. And if your writing is good and strong and you are connecting to the user and you have those elements of like exactly what you need to do to rank with that structure, like you're gonna do well.
That sounds great. So where can people find out more about you, Rachel?
Yeah. I'm active on LinkedIn. So Rachel A. Hernandez. Or I usually encourage people to follow the Hoff on social media. That's one of the companies that I do the content marketing for. Very SEO forward, very AI forward, brand exposure forward. And that is at the Hoff SEO on all platforms. We've got a great Instagram feed, a great LinkedIn feed. We are on TikTok and Meta, but we share tons of resources. We also we like to have fun, so we're kind of we have the leeway to make some jokes and be a little unserious sometimes about stuff that feels really complicated and hard.
That is awesome. I'll put all the links in the show notes for today. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I sure appreciated learning more about AI, and I will definitely check out those tools. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I wholeheartedly agree that we need to insert the human element into anything that AI spits out. And I definitely want to check out some of the tools she's recommended. For more information about these tools or anything we talked about in today's episode, visit our show notes page at myweeklymarketing.com/75. Thanks so much for listening today. As always, I really appreciate any feedback you have or ideas about things that you'd like to hear more about. Just DM me on Instagram at Janice Hossteger Marketing. See you next time. Bye for now.